Hey class, this is week 3 of Homeland Security 452. I hope everybody's keeping up with their reading and their assignments, and I hope everybody is doing fine for this summer. Week 3, we're going to be talking about the background in the Middle East, one of the most fascinating historical and foundational part of this course, I think. There are so many things going on in the Middle East, historically and currently, that lends itself to what we're talking about, and that's where much, certainly international terrorism is originating. But doesn't have to be national, could be within the boundaries of the different nations where terrorist attacks are happening constantly, especially in the Israeli-Palestinian area in the Middle East. It's fascinating. Historically, geographically, and culturally, it's something that is a foundation for what we will be talking about. We will be having or at least in the chapter, a brief sketch on the origins of Islam, and I really want you to pay attention to that and learn about that, and in particularly how the split between the Shiites and the Sunnis came about in Islam. And it's such an important religion and an important part of what we're going to be talking about when we talked about jihadists. But Shiites and Sunnis, and it's also there is also an article as a supplemental reading in this week's weekly content, specifically dealing with the difference between Shiites and Sunnis and how that split came about. And then we're also going to learn about how the Ottoman Empire, which existed for hundreds and hundreds of years, and then finally fell apart after World War I. Probably it was declining at the time, but certainly them siding with Germany in World War I certainly signed their demise completely. The decline of the Ottoman Empire is so important to the Middle East, and that's located in the Middle East, Turkey, and it covered most of the Middle East, and certainly the birth of Zionism, the Jews in Europe and other areas of the world making immigration to the Palestinian area where Israel now exists, and buying land and setting up a country, literally a country, and then finally being granted that country by the United Nations in the 1947 and 48 years. It's pivotal on what is going on, having Israel in the middle of the Middle East, and we'll see how that plays out during this week. The formation of Israel, as I said, is extremely important. And then there are the many Arab-Israeli wars that have taken place. It just seems like every other month there was an Israeli-Arab conflict, military conflict in some way. But we're particularly looking at the 1967 war, and also the Yom Kippur War, the Yom Kippur War, as well as the invasion of Lebanon in 1982. So it's fascinating to see what is going on there. And then finally, we're going to be talking about Iran in this week, and how Iran plays into all this, because Iran is not an Arab nation. It's a Persian nation. They don't consider themselves Arabs, but yet they play an important part in the Arab world, especially in the Israeli issue. Iran has sent aid and military forces to Lebanon, and they have actually formed a group called Hezbollah, which is backed by Iran, and which has sworn to annihilate Israel. So it all plays into these issues that are going on, and it's just, to me, it's just a fascinating study of what is going on there. So we've got a lot to do this week. Just that chapter is what we have to look at, and make sure you read it. Also, the first 3 weeks, this is the 3rd week, this will comprise the midterm exam, the questions on the midterm exam. It's a 25-question true-false multiple choice exam, which will be available to you next week. I will give you over a week to take the exam, and I will certainly make an announcement when that is posted. So you got to make sure that you have read chapters 6, 7, and 8, weeks 1, 2, and 3, in order to do well in the midterm exam. So if there's any questions or any problems, give me a holler, and I hope you have a good week. Thanks.